I in the prep for the video, I came across discussion on Justuno's website about how it's more than pop-ups. Can you tell me a little bit about what Justuno does in general, and maybe some of the major features that you guys provide?
Yeah, so obviously we're a tool to build like promotions on your site. That's kind of the way we brand it, is we call them promotions because they can be used as like banners on your site, traditional pop-ups, tabs. There's tools to have gamification, so you can have like a spin to win or slot machine or scratch off kind of game on the promotion. We're really a great tool for building newsletter lists and engaging with your customers. I think it's a great way to build your branding too. And I think that the brand experience is huge in e-commerce. That's something that I try to give advice on when I do work with clients. We also have really in-depth analytics, which I am always blown away by because it gets really granular. And that, I think, is what sets us apart from pop-ups in the past, is that ability to track sessions and get a good understanding of how people interact with your site.
For sure. You mentioned pop-ups in the past, and I think that pop-ups as a concept has gone through a lot of different evolution since the early days of the internet, when everybody was spamming with keywords and spamming with pop-ups and kind of hitting you at the wrong point, likely because they didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. So when people come to Justuno, you mentioned branding, but what other sort of problems are they trying to solve with your tools as they get into your different features?
A really big one, of course, would be like increasing conversions and revenue. I think that's the main goal that most people have with Justuno, but also building their email lists. Promotions are a really great way of capturing emails and also SMS. Also, we can help you with keeping customers on your site longer. There's tactics to kind of incentivize them to stay, and that leads to longer sessions, which kind of everything ties into those conversions and increasing revenue.
For sure. And people have those goals, and they find a solution with promotions. How do you think people can deliver those promotions in a way that doesn't really get in the way of the customer experience? Because I think traditionally the fear of many people who are in control of the website experience would be that you're putting that promotion in front of somebody and you're interrupting their experience. But how can you do that in a way that adds value to the experience?
So I always say, put yourself kind of in the shoes of a shopper on your site, interact with your own site, feel out how, a session might be for a shopper. And also, one thing with e-commerce is trying to build that experience similar to what we have in brick and mortar. And so if you have some promotions that kind of give little tidbits about what's happening with your company, or what sales are going on, that can kind of take the place of maybe like a sales rep.
For sure.
Also, a huge thing is don't launch the pop-ups immediately. With Justuno, this is a little technical, but our script loads last. When you install Justuno on your site, we load last, and that's to try to negate like slow load times because of Justuno.
Sure.
So
yeah.
There usually is going to be a little bit of a delay naturally because of that. But I always tell people, think about how much time the customer might be spending on that page that you want to fire this on. I think 15 seconds is usually a pretty good time for deploying the pop-up. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is what you're talking about is one of the areas where Lucky Orange and Justuno can kind of work together. Is you're delivering these promotions, and you want to make sure that you're not causing more abandonment, or that people are actually engaging with it in a meaningful way, and doing something like a session recording to see what they're doing, and seeing before, during, and after seeing the promotion is a good way to kind of keep an eye on how it's impacting the experience outside of the more quantitative data, like the conversion rate or something like that, the qualitative side of the picture.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. Because just, like we do have those analytics that kind of tell you how much time people are spending on pages and what pages they're going to. But with Lucky Orange, you actually can see that interaction happening. And that's a great way to, deploy a better strategy with your promotions, because that's what sets Justuno aside from like promotions of the past. Really, is there's just so much strategy that can be put in place with our rules.
Right. Yeah. And I think that, people get handed the keys to a website, or they are starting up a company and they are passionate about their product, or they're passionate about making it work. And they want to optimize. They come to Lucky Orange, they come to Justuno, and they say, these tools look like they can help me. And in many ways, it's our job as the people that work for the company to communicate the best way to use the tools, or communicate how to use session recordings, how to use promotions, which of the promotions make the most sense for your website type or something like that. What sort of advice from the Justuno standpoint do you try to give to people when they're just getting started with site optimization, or they're considering using pop-ups and promotions to whatever their goal might be, the conversions or the general engagement? What sort of starting point advice do you like to give to people?
I would say trying to stay consistent with your branding is a really big thing. Having a clear like color palette and vision with the pop-ups that you're just deploying. Just be consistent with your fonts. And that's one thing that's really cool with Justuno is, for example, with Shopify, if you have custom fonts, you can import those into Justuno and use them on your promotions. Definitely utilize help centers. That's kind of my passion, being a technical writer. Like my entire job is trying to make our help center the best it can be so that our customers can be successful. And it's super helpful to like our support team and our strategists as well. But with Justuno, you can collect a lot of data on where your customers are coming from and what landing pages are being used, where customers leave the sites. Really use those analytical tools to be successful. Also, you can use like traditional lead captures and coupons, but also there's lots of ways to use promotions without coupons. You can do other creative things to incentivize, like free gift with purchase, discounted or free shipping, VIP programs or loyalty programs. That's a huge thing that you can kind of promote with Justuno if you're using another platform for something like that. Yeah, there's so much that goes into it, but definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. And there's so much out there for help. Like we have wonderful blog posts that are even dive into like industry specific strategies. So yeah, there's a lot out there.
The branding side of that's really interesting. I think that, everybody knows they need a brand and that it needs to be consistent. And I think that, when we look at websites, we're giving people feedback on their websites every now and then. We see those really fundamental things that it's like, it just needs to look a little bit more professional. So if you're going to add promotions, if you're going to add a chat tool, whatever you're going to do, your product images, everything, if you can just level it up a little bit by keeping it consistent. It doesn't need to be some off the wall, crazy custom thing. Just make the fonts consistent, like you're saying, the colors, and that way, even with the promotions specifically, it appears that it's more directly a part of the general experience than something bolted on. So that's really interesting. In the last time that I had spoken with the Justuno team, I heard that you had some upcoming launches. Is there any information that you can share about what's coming up in the future for Justuno? in the near or distant term?
We're going to be releasing our V4 version of the platform. So it's currently in beta testing, and I've been working on the knowledge base content for the launch. So people can expect even more tools than what we currently have for narrowing in on your audience, more design customization. The design studio is a lot more, I don't want to say intense, but more in depth. And everything is just updated and a little more user friendly, more modern feel, you know.
Really
And
cool.
one thing that's super cool about V4 that I love is there's the ability to reuse things. Like you can build an audience and you can reuse that on different promotions. You don't have to build that each time. And you can kind of do that with V3. You can like export rules and import them into new promotions, but it's just so much faster. And we have something similar for our image library as well. So let's say you use your logo a lot on your promotions. You can add it to your image manager and use that in the design easily. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
upload every time.
That's super cool. Yeah, well, it's very exciting, and we can't wait to see it come out. And Sarah, thank you for jumping on and sharing this information with me. We will be sure to share all the Justuno information in the video descriptions and everywhere we share this. Super awesome tools, and I'm glad we got to connect about this.
Yeah, I love talking about things like this. That's one thing I love about my job is just having conversations like this and kind of diving into e-commerce and how we can better things. It's great.
Amazing. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right.
Bye.